Brecknock Township Supervisors meeting and on a Valentine's evening, which I don't know how we arranged that. But this time I will call our meeting to order and ask you to join the board as we stand and pledge the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time we'll have a roll call of the persons at the table.
Elton Boyd,
Present.
Arthur Zerby,
Here.
Jerry Long,
Here.
Mike Reinhardt,
Here.
Bill Cassidy.
Here.
Carl Martin.
Okay, this time we have our community open session, but we also, if you came to speak about the proposed rezoning, I'd like you to hold off and talk about that when we get to new business. I will give an update on where it's at, and then I will allow you to speak about that at that time. So at this time, anything you want to address this board, with the exception of the proposed rezoning, we have a four-minute limit, and anyone wants to speak, I will set the timer, and you can go. Go ahead.
Just a real quick question. I noticed in the newspaper, 2 property transfers for Brecknock Township. Can you give us some insight into what those 2 property transfers are?
Would they be the streets? Dedicated streets?
Road dedications, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, Boulder Hill and
Meadows Base.
Meadows.
That's street dedication. It dedicates the street to the township.
To the township, so they're responsible for the road. That's correct.
Okay, is there any other? Yes, your name, just for the record. Yeah.
525
Yeah.
I did lay a copy of my 2016 report in Taylor.
Okay.
If you had any questions, really, I want to go through it.
Okay, thank you. We did not receive Bowmansville yet, did we?
I think we did.
Yeah, I put it in your box.
Yes.
You have it.
Oh, okay. Okay, is there anyone else who wants to, yes, just state your name.
Tom Martin,
Okay.
I'm on the Madison Area Library Board. Just wanted to say thank you for your support in the past and our local library here and the local community supports.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, that concludes our community open session. And you have the minutes from both the reorganizational meeting on January 3rd, and you have your minutes in your packet from January 10th. Are there any additions or corrections to any of those minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I have read the minutes of the reorganization meeting of January the 3rd and the minutes of our township meeting, January the 10th. Let me make a motion to accept them as presented.
Okay, we had a motion to accept them as presented. Is there a second? I'll second that. So, motion was made and second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. You have a copy of the bills from the month of, well, I guess January's, as of February 9th. So, have you read the bills, and are you, any questions or comments, and can they be approved and paid as they're listed? And I guess this here has one.
That was one additional one that came in late.
Okay. Do you have the total?
Here.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Total for this month is $55,816.59.
I make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $55,816.59.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion was made and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, you have your reports. You have the Roadmaster's report. And you also have his schedule of the co-op bid event schedule and We also need to give direction for this year, 2017 road work. So do you have anything you want to add or comment on?
I'll make a few comments. First off, not to go over it again, I still call it oil and shipping person. I don't see where we benefit, but besides that, South Muddy Creek Road on the list.
Yeah.
Okay. It says microsurface rut fill, and then the single application of bituminous seal coat. That road, I don't know if it should be on that list because of the simple fact, if you look, and I was out and revisited it again, that's a road that we overlaid here several years back, and it's only 18 foot wide. That road, up until we overlaid it, got very little traffic. And now, with the Acme facility, everything that's taken place in East Cocalico, the shortest route coming out of Martindale, East Earl, now to get on 222, to get on the turnpike, that road's seeing more traffic than ever. I'm not sure that before anything's done to that road that we shouldn't put the money into widening that thing 2 feet, because 18 feet, the tractor trailer trucks that are using that road, I'm surprised at how many. And it's even, one of the things is even with snow removal, the blades on our trucks are 11 foot. It's an 18 foot road cartway. That leaves 7 foot for a vehicle coming the other way. There's just not enough room. That road should be one that I feel before anything's ever done, it should be widened 2 feet before the money's stuck into that. The other thing is, if I read it right in the paperwork I had seen before, is East Black Creek Road, this year, looking to, what I call it oil and chip, and then next year, the possibility of blacktopping that. Well, this is the first time this has ever been done in this township. I've seen what East Cocalico did with Game School Road. They oiled and chipped it down below my place. Well, within a year, there was nothing left. And then they came along and blacktopped it anyway. So I'm wondering why, what makes the difference of now they want to oil and chip a road before it's blacktopped. Because I have seen in the past, it didn't make much difference in the road. I remember we tried putting fabric down over cracks, and that didn't work. That was a waste of money. So that's just one other one, is what changed a little bit that we're now going in that direction. So,
Would you care to respond?
Yeah, for East Black Creek Road, I'd like to get,
You're doing quite a bit of base repair on
yeah,
that road?
3,600 yards of base repair done to it. And my thought was there, get the base repair done this year, and then oil and chip to seal everything up, to give it a good seal. And I believe too, that oil and chipment this year, and it's not Tim Montag with LTAP recommends this, it gives the oil and chip gives a good bonding service between the old blacktop and the new blacktop. It's a rougher surface than what is there now. It's very smooth now. And you get that, it would be like almost like milling it. It would give it a rougher surface so there'd be a nice knit there. With South Muddy Creek, I agree with Art, it does need widening. The horse ruts that are in it now, we've been getting numerous potholes in them, and they get worse and worse every year. And the blacktop is in fairly decent shape on there, other than in the horse ruts. And my thought was there to make sure that the blacktop lasts long enough until we do widen it and overlay it to get the horse ruts filled in and oil and chip over top. And I mean, that'll give us a lot of time on that road so that we can widen it right. And it's a short run. The township, I believe the road crew can work at that from time to time, widening it themselves. Be a big project due on one summer, but I believe we could, tackle it.
So your idea is just to keep it from getting any worse?
Right, exactly.
Leave the rut fill, which is really getting bad,
Yeah.
and causing holes also, which is a good idea, and then putting a single coat of tar and chip on it
Yes,
and preserve it until,
exactly. And then I do have permission from the farmer down there. I'm going to be taking down all the cedar trees along that fence to give people a little bit more room. They get off the one edge real bad there, where it's real narrow, 18 feet, like Art said. And I believe one of the reasons is there's cedar trees along there. And if you don't get over a little bit, your mirror will whack those branches. I talked to the farmer, and he gave me permission to take those trees down. So that'll give the road a little bit more light, and plus kind of widen it a little bit. I mean, technically not, but it'll give people more room. They'll be able to ride closer to the edge without worrying about whacking their mirrors on the trees there.
Well, but you're saying on East Black Creek Road, you want to do the base repair first, and then the
Oil and chip, yes.
Why wouldn't you do the same with South Muddy Creek Road? Do the base repair of widthing the road, and then the tar and chip?
We can.
Okay.
We can. I mean,
Okay.
there's not really a whole lot of base problems. The blacktop.
No, I'm saying the added width is like repairing the base,
Right.
Do that, then tar and chip the whole thing instead of just
Right.
tar and chip what's there, and then while you can work it in, add the 2 foot more, and then you got that seam that has to. It seems to me that I agree maybe with Art that if you would do the widening first and then tar and chip it, then you would seal up the difference where you have that joint from the additional 2 foot.
I don't know when the widening would happen.
Okay.
That's why I don't have that, as far as widening that road, that's not in my 5-year road plan. There's other roads that I think see a bit more traffic that would benefit from money instead of putting, if we hold off and don't do anything to South Muddy Creek, I'm afraid we have a bad winter too. It's going to be in pretty shoddy shape.
widening the road. What do you have to do to widen the road?
Basically take our 2-foot backhoe bucket, dig down along the side of the road, and fill it in with stone and pave a foot wider on either side. And then we'd have to reshape a lot of swales and stuff like that because we'd be taking the edges away. So
For that,
and there's pretty high bank there, Farmers Field, so we have to move a lot of dirt at the one spot. So it's a short road, where the road crew can tackle it. It's going to take time. And with cleaning ditches on the other roads that I'd like to get work done on, and where we have water problems, I don't know when we're going to get to it. I don't have that.
Well, that's less than 10% of your total. Would you be willing to drop that and reevaluate South Muddy Creek Road?
If that's the route you want to take, that's fine. But I strongly disagree with that.
Disagree with what? Do you widen it first?
With not doing anything to it. The horse ruts are terrible on there.
Well, you'd still do the rut fill. I'm just saying that I'm asking if you would consider reevaluating to hold off on the tar and chip until you get it widened.
I like to,
Would it still be?
I don't like to put the rut fill down and not oil and chip over top of it, because it seals up that joint between the rut fill and blacktop. And my worry is we've always, since I've been here, done rut fill and oil and chip over top. My fear is that if we don't oil and chip over top, that water could eventually work its way underneath the microsurfacing and just pop it out.
If you hold off on rut filling and tar and chipping, and instead do the widening, would that interfere with actually going in with the co-op and bidding?
No, we didn't put any numbers in there. That wouldn't interfere at all with that.
So that might push it out till next year though, right?
Yeah, or.
I mean,
maybe-
when would you do this widening?
Well, whenever we get the chance. I mean, if I keep going with the road plan I have, I don't know. I mean, we have so much work. I don't know when we would get to it. I can't tell you. It might be a few years out.
So you might not do anything then this year.
To South Muddy Creek? Probably not this year. No.
So what you're saying, if we decide for you to widen it before you do anything else, then it's gonna sit like it is.
For probably a few years.
That's your opinion, yes. Okay. Now what do we want to do?
Back to the widening of South Muddy Creek. The widening we did in the past, can you remember, was it Martin's? To me, that's the way to go. They come in, they have a milling machine elevator. They run their dump truck right in front of it. And boy, you're looking at, on a road like that, 2-3 days are done
To do what?
to widen that.
You talking, somebody else doing it, not our crew?
Yes, that's how we did in the past. Then you're not in and out, in and out. It's done, it's over with, it's 2 foot wide, it's safe for the traffic. But it's something that might want to be considered to have somebody come in and do it because they can do it so fast. And our road crew, just the mobilization, moving the equipment back and forth and back and forth. That's time consuming in itself, you know, going to the job one day, work for X amount of hours, bringing the stuff back to the township, then another day go back. Where they're there and they do it all, they just go right down the side of that road, mill that right out of there, come with another truck, put the stone in, and then they blacktop right behind it. We don't have the road crew large enough almost to tackle something like that.
Are you saying they would blacktop the widened part?
Yes, yes. Yep, right up through.
Do you have any idea what that costs?
I forget what it cost us, but we did, it was so narrow on the lower end of 5 Pointville Road, we did it there. We widened Kramer Mill, the lower end. We widened Woodland. There was other roads like this that we widened because they were only in the area of 18 foot. And you got to get them out there to 20 if you want 2 vehicles to be able to pass each other and be safe. But it's something that could be considered is to get somebody to give you a price and get it over with.
Well, if you drop this from your COG thing, you still can oil and chip it later if you want, using the township funds, right? Not
Well,
everything has to go through the COG.
It doesn't have to,
funds,
but it
yeah.
like doubles in price. I mean, if we want to take that route and widen it this year, I mean.
We're still gonna rut fill it.
I would have been just overlay it the following year.
Well, that's an option for next year. I guess I'd like to see you reevaluate that and see about widening it this year and hold off on
Okay.
the,
Just cut it out totally from what we're planning on. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and it's less than 10% what we currently have now, so it's not
Right.
a big thing. If you agree to that, I can support the rest of the, your list here for,
Well, it isn't that we don't have the money, so
well,
you might as well get the estimate to get it done. And then when it's widened and blacktopped, then what do you want to do about the rough-fill and the tar chip?
well, if he widens it this year, and looks at overlay next year, then you wouldn't be doing the overlay, and you wouldn't need the rough fill and tar and chip.
You'd be leaving the rough-fill the way it is right now, just leaving the
I
rough-fill.
mean, another year is not gonna kill it, no.
Okay, so we're just basically approving what's for the COG submittal tonight. And you'll come back, I mean, what you budgeted for us as far as your 2017 plan includes the other things.
Right.
Yeah. You'll look for direction on that later.
For the base repair and
Yeah. Are you looking for everything tonight?
we should move forward with this base repair if we're gonna get it done because,
Okay.
here we go, February, and if we do the base repair on
Black Creek Road.
East Black Creek Road, we need to get it done by June or July so that whoever gets oil and chip has time to come in and oil and chip it at the end of the summer.
Okay. What's in our packet is just basically just a single application of bituminous seal coat.
Yeah, but remember he gave you this one?
Yeah, so we're basically
Yes.
approving both.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, I'm okay with that. Any other discussion? I'll make a motion that we approve what the Roadmaster has laid out here for his 2017 road work, including the proposed list for the COG bidding process.
I'll second it.
Question.
Are you including South Muddy Creek Road now or not?
No.
Okay, I don't think you
I was just gonna say
put
that.
that out.
Okay. The idea he would widen, look, you reevaluate that, consider widening it 2 feet for work next year. And basically looking at an outside firm to come in and hog it out and fill it in and pave it, widen it. Okay, we had that motion, it was second. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
I say no because, again, I'm not an
Yeah.
oil and chip person.
Well, I see the oil and chip portion is about 25%. I'd like to keep it there. I'd like you to keep your oil and chip a low portion of what we're spending. Because I know some people say you save money, well, you're still paying it. I look at that and I'd like to see that lower next year. Keep we don't save money, we're still spending it. So, okay, the motion was made and seconded, and we had in favor and a carry. Okay, we have the engineer's report.
Okay.
What about the resolution?
Oh.
The resolution.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve this resolution for participation in the cooperative bidding and purchasing agreement
Can you just mention that we're excluding South Muddy Creek Road in that, because I'll have to adjust those figures.
You got that? Okay, excluding. Okay, we had the motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or second the motion. Those in favor say aye.
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 I will say aye because I believe we should work with the co-op program, but just some of it I don't agree
Yeah,
with.
I understand. I appreciate your comments. Okay, that motion carries. Now, the engineer's report.
Okay, you have a copy of my report. I only have 2 items tonight, one of which will be covered under old business, and one that is not noted at the end of my report that I'll just bring up. The Planning Commission had a discussion at their last meeting related to a plan modification request for Maple Ridge North. I have a copy of the plan that I'll just hold up here for you. This is a copy of the approved subdivision plan along Louchtown Road. It also fronts on the Turnpike and a little bit on the 625. The zoning hearing board had granted zoning relief for the apartment units, the lot containing the apartment units, to allow them to increase their impervious coverage above what is allowed by the zoning ordinance. The reason for that was to allow them to have concrete pads in the back of the units, basically to have a small grill or something outside sit on the patio to the rear of the apartment units. So they had to get relief for that, and there were conditions that were assigned to that decision by the zoning hearing board to include a fence being put up, a privacy fence along 625. You may have seen that being constructed today. As a result of that, one of the requests that have come in from the developer was to, this highlighted portion down below here is a small section of sidewalk that essentially would be going out towards 625. Now that the fence will be located in that area, it actually would not access anything. Plus, the developer was concerned about allowing an access that really didn't go to any intersection point or a clear cross-section for a pedestrian to cross over 625, and they had some concerns about the safety of that, which I do agree with. So they're requesting a modification of the approved plan, which again can be done by the Board of Supervisors because we have our own subdivision ordinance at this point, to allow them to delete the highlighted portion that's shown on this plan, which would essentially be from Unit 12. It would still have a walkway out of their unit, just like before. However, it wouldn't wrap around and go out towards 625 as it's shown on the final plan.
What was the purpose of that?
Honestly, no, the purpose was, it was a comment from the county, believe it or not. The county planner had made a comment about a future pedestrian access out to another point. But normally that's done at an intersection point. The difference with this is they don't have ownership of any of the lots that front at the intersection of Louchtown Road and 625. So the request was made to extend the sidewalk in this direction with the hope that maybe there would be a future connection at some point. Either sidewalk improvement put along 625, perhaps at a later date. Obviously, there's no plans on the books at this point for that connection at this time. So at this point, it's really a sidewalk that goes to nowhere. And that's the reason for the modification request. But the planning comment was made for
Was
future
that part of the
planning.
township map?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No, that was just,
the official map?
Yeah,
yeah, that was not part of the official map
okay, yeah.
at that point in time. Yeah, if you recall, this plan was reviewed and approved under the county subdivision ordinance, so that was
Right.
that was one of the requirements or comments that came out of their planning review.
So the county wanted it, but now we can get rid of it.
You have the option to get rid of it if you'd like, yes. We discussed it with the planning commission and Gene's here. Levi had provided some input on this. We both agree that it makes sense. You know, you could have, we recommend that you would consider that approval for the modification.
How do we feel about that?
I think there's a fence there and it's going to nowhere, and I don't
Right.
think you want them, if the fence wasn't there, I don't think you want them walking out across 625, so I'm in favor of approving the modification and
Make a motion.
And, okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the modification to the sidewalk that is heading toward the east, towards 625, and it be removed from their
I'll second
the
that.
development plan. Okay, we had a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have unless the board has questions.
You're going to deal with the Sun Valley Campground later.
Yeah, we'll wait until it.
Okay. Okay, you have the SEO report. You have your zoning report. And we're going to talk about some of that a little later. Solicitors items.
Nothing from me this evening.
Is there a motion to approve the reports?
Approve the reports of
Okay, we have a motion to approve the reports as listed.
SEO zoning
Yeah.
solicitor.
Is there a second?
Second.
That's been seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, you have the minutes from the Park and Rec Commission meeting. Anyone here that wants to add to that?
Did you get the report about the damage being done in Rootmaker Park and stuff, or was there any thought?
Oh, no, they didn't get, I don't know if they, unless it was in the minutes, they didn't, they're not aware of it.
Oh,
No.
I thought I sent it to you, but I guess not, but, we had a lot of people going into the park and doing donuts in the ball fields and
We want
burning.
to just hold off a little bit until Supervisor Zerby returns. So you don't have to say it twice.
Doing donuts in the ball field.
Hmm?
Doing
Yeah.
donuts in the ball field.
On the Diamondbacks.
Like we must need some.
Okay, we were just started talking about the Park and Rec, and Andy was describing some damage that was being done in the park. Are you aware of this?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, they've been, doing donuts in the ball fields, just recently one was vehicles on the Diamondbacks on Messner Field, and, they lit the basketball padding on fire at Bowmansville, and lit a fire in the one lower park, Stone parking lot, doing donuts in the Stone parking lot, and I was just wondering, I think we ought to do, either put more lighting up in the park, or maybe more cameras. Well, I think we have to put more lighting to put more cameras up so we can see what's going on. I just think we should think about taking an extra step towards security for these parks, because I don't know what's, sooner or later, maybe somebody will light a building on fire or something. Or do some real damage to the fields that we have to get them regraded or something. It's just, ridiculous the things that these kids or whoever it is do in these parks. It's unreal.
So you're saying, are you talking about both parks in general?
Well, both parks in general, but Brubaker, Bowmansville, there's not too many people doing donuts in the field there. Just a couple weeks ago, a person lit the basketball padding on fire there and burned that up, but for Brubaker mostly, it's one of these times something major's gonna happen. We're gonna either get a field regraded or somebody's gonna destroy the pavilion or something. And it's just, I think we ought to consider at least putting more lighting up through the driveway of the park.
What would be the process of someone evaluating that, and does that work through the Park and Rec Committee? For more lights and
You could ask the
security
Park and
cameras?
Rec to evaluate putting more lighting, up through the road, going through there, because that's really what it's gonna take, is along the road. And then have them get back to, make a recommendation
Okay.
back to the board, or, Andy could,
The fire was, yes.
yeah.
But the donuts in the field was not. We have no idea, nothing of what's going on. We did it.
You can, put it back to the Park and Rec and ask them, tell them because of the, some of the vandalism that's been going on, could they evaluate, putting some lights up? What would they recommend where? Maybe they could narrow it down to where and then bring it back to you and then we could, see if it's something the road crew can do or if we need to get a contractor in here to do it.
Comments. This has been something that's been every year since the park has been open. You're gonna have that. We knew that before the park was implemented. I personally have chased vehicles myself, which is very dangerous. I chased some right to their home in Terry Hill. I've chased some that ended up at the bar, and when it was a bar in Bowmansville. Seems once I chase them, they don't come back. They know, I know who they are, but I know you can do lighting, you can do what you have to, but it's going to be something. I think it's going to happen over and over. I don't remember a 1 year that we didn't have somebody turf the ball diamonds. It's over and over. And
Yes, but it does seem that vandalism in general is increasing. We probably should give this back to the Park and Rec, ask them for their recommendation about more lighting and possibly cameras.
and that's fine, but I don't think it's going to stop it.
Well, I can agree with that. Now, on the, on your memorandum, there's a high priority of some items listed. And I would recommend that we ask the road crew and the zoning officer to implement the high priority items and get that taken care of. Ask the Park and Rec Board to evaluate additional lighting along the driveways.
Yes.
But some of the high priority here is to change the locks and place new locks in the doors. Look at for security cameras with remote view. Hire an independent contractor to perform the immediate repairs and appoint an individual to determine value and means of disposal. I would suggest we move with those, and at the same time ask the Park and Rec Committee to recommend something as far as additional lighting.
Is that for down at Jim's house?
Yeah. So I would make that as a motion so that they have some direction to go forward.
There is a gate at Jim's house now, right?
We
Yeah.
put one up
Okay.
last week.
That's good.
There's only one comment on number 4 on the high priority.
Yeah.
I mentioned something to Carol. I don't know if she mentioned something.
To Levi and to.
There are some things that I seen that were left behind and that are of value, especially to me.
Okay.
I'd like to purchase them, or somebody else can purchase them. But for them things just to walk off, boy,
No, that's why the sooner we
then I'll be
address it.
questioning where did they go?
Yeah.
Jerry, may I, and Art, I would, in number 4, one of the recommendations is that the board appoint someone to determine the value and means of disposal, and I would recommend that we make that Levi.
Okay.
Because Levi's okay with that, and I believe he,
Okay, very good.
Trust me.
we trust you, I do, anyway.
Well, no idea how you disperse the stuff.
Oh, I can, research things and if I have questions, I can ask you.
Yeah.
Hey,
There may be additional information.
yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff that they leave there is furniture stuff or?
He moved out, what, just 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, moved to like South
They
Carolina.
moved in with their daughter, and so there's a lot of things that they just didn't have room for them, and that they don't need anymore.
And they just left it
Some of them, yeah.
And in the sheds, there's hardware stuff and stuff that I would be interested in buying.
Well, I made a motion that we would give them direction on the high priority items, and Levi would be assigned to place a value on some of these things and allow them to be sold. Now, should we also go ahead and get some prices on the change in the electrical wiring and the heating system?
Personally, I think that you don't want to heat the way it was heated before.
Yeah.
Even, and also a decision needs to be made, what are the immediate use for the buildings, or what's the long-term use? But regardless of what it is, whether it be rented out or long-term range of who knows what, I think it should be different heat. I think the electric should be evaluated. And then somebody needs to evaluate that and then let us know what really.
Well, I think you could get a heating contractor and take a look at it. What I'm saying, we're authorizing you to go with the high priority. On the medium priority, you're just getting prices
Right.
to, yeah. And did you have a question over here, Dave?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that somewhere down the road that there should be somebody living in that house, whether the council decides to rent it to somebody, or you're going to have it, or reduce rent, give somebody maybe needs a little help, be able to live in a place like that, and be there, because that house left empty, something will have to do.
Yeah, we agree with
So
that.
I can tell you about just all the houses in the park in Philly back in the 70s. Somebody in the council, they heard that the employees of the city were living in these houses. And, oh my God, they got to be out of all these historic homes in the park. And they emptied all the houses out, and about 8 months later, about 2/3 of them were burned to the ground, like vandals. And they came back and said, oh, that was like the wrong thing to do. We just have to come up with some way to occupy the house in some way,
Well, I think right now, the house with the heating system was required manual work, wood, coal. And if you go to rent it out, we probably have to provide a more automatic type of heating system. And that's where I think, yes, I think our direction is to get some use out of it, either someone rent. I'd like you to talk to Robert Zerman. Maybe, he has connection, the neighbor there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he has some ideas how we might be able to, and his connection with his employees at A.B. Martin, maybe someone's looking for a place to rent, he would know them and take some responsibility there. But yeah, we're all in the infant stages here of trying to at least get it into position that it could be rented at a decent price. I don't know if we're looking to provide, free or really reduced.
I wouldn't say free,
yeah,
but
yeah.
some reduced amount because the person
Yeah.
take care of the property.
John Knoll is an electrician here. He probably has had quite a bit of experience and
Does my motion give you some direction to go forward? Okay, I had a motion to move on the high priority items and assign Levi to determine the value of some things and possibly allow them to be sold, and also to get pricing then on the mechanical systems in the house so that we could move on that later. So that was a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion was made and second. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then again, you're going to notify the park and rec and tell them that they should evaluate the lighting to reduce vandalism. Okay, that's our park and rec. If there's nothing else from you and Levi, okay. We go to old business, and now we have the proposed rezoning. And I'd like to kind of give you a status on this. Back in, I think it was August, this board asked the planning commission to evaluate the current highway commercial district because PP&L had purchased the majority of it and there was very little left. It was practically built out. And so the planning commission had a number of meetings. They've also had Lancaster County Planning Commission representatives in some of the meetings. And they've come back now with a recommendation of increasing the area. What you see in front of it is not this Board of Supervisors stamp of approval. This is just the Planning Commission's recommendation. We did see it, we made some tweaks, and we asked them to have a public meeting on it, which they did last month. And so now this come before us, where our next step is, and again, I'm going to allow some comments tonight, but this is really not the night for you to cut the whole thing apart. We'll entertain some thoughts, we'll discuss it somewhat. But our next step then would be to forward to Lancaster County Planning Commission and Berks County Planning Commission, because at this point, we do want their input. We don't have their input. So we are not going to make a final decision on anything until we have that. But obviously, if we get it close to what we think that our Planning Commission has recommended, and any tweaks we might have, and get as close as we can, and then forward to them for comments, it'd make it easier if they like it, if they don't, and it depends what that amounts to. But then after that, after they provide their comments, then we would have a public hearing again where you would have the chance to really look at the final version, and then this board would make a decision to act on it. Is there anything I missed that you'd like to add?
I think the only other thing would be, I actually made a comment, Jerry, just to point out, Berks County Planning, you would not be required to send it to them for review. You would,
Okay.
It's up to you as a courtesy, just because you're an adjacent municipality. You wouldn't be required to do that. But the Brecknock Planning Commission would also have to look at it one more time, just for a formal recommendation. I realize they've already had the meeting and they've already provided a recommendation on the current version here. But we want them to have another chance to provide a formal recommendation on the final, being reviewed by the Lancaster County Plan.
Okay, so at this time, if anyone would like to interject some comments or thought, direction, I would entertain them at this time. Go ahead. It is Valentine's night.
Oh, that doesn't
Keep
mean
keep us moving. But I have been at the Planning Commission meetings. I'm aware of what they're doing, and hopefully I can respond to maybe some of you.
After the planning commission meeting, I did a little investigation. At the January planning committee, I handed out a list of concerns relative to the rezoning on 625 above the turnpike. And Carol, I'd ask you if, please attach these to the meeting minutes, if you would. So I've attached that list of questions that I gave to the planning commission. At that meeting, a resident commented that as long as land is agricultural, there's some idea of who your neighbor is, but if they're a farmer or a small business owner. If the land is rezoned commercial, you don't know of who will be your neighbor. So to determine this was a real concern of people in the area that are going to be rezoned, I contacted them and I gave them a list of allowed uses for agricultural land and also for commercial land. I have a couple of observations from those visits. All of the residents had heard something about the rezoning, and some of them believe they had received a notice, but no one was able to give me a notice. I had a question where notices posted in the yards as have been previously with zoning actions.
They don't
I did
have
not
to
see any
Not at this point, but the posting occurs when the supervisors will have a public hearing. That's when that is triggered, that notice requirement of posting,
Okay.
not for the planning commission.
This was just a preliminary notice.
That's
Okay.
right, yep.
No one knew the reason for the rezoning, and no one knew what development was allowed in commercial land. And they all expressed some concern about how the land might be developed. No one could name a township supervisor. But several said they knew Arthur, and they believe he is still the roadmaster. I don't think that's the case, Arthur, but I'm not sure. They will talk with Arthur and express their concerns. Residents also said that Arthur has always supported protecting natural and agricultural land. They believe Arthur and the supervisors would act in their best interest and would never allow development like gas stations, restaurants, motels, or convenience stores in the area to be rezoned. They were surprised to hear once land is zoned commercial, supervisors cannot stop development as long as the property owner satisfies all zoning and land development ordinances. Other topics discussed with the residents want to know why so much land, approximately 120 acres.
It's 180.
108. Excuse me. They want to know what businesses are intended or interested. They want to know what businesses are interested in developing the land. The residents pay property taxes on their farmland, and we're very surprised that the PNL does not pay property tax on the land of the substation. Those close to the substation are not happy with PPNL because how much land was used and the appearance of the substation. All the residents are aware of the controversy between PPNL and Martin. PPNL will not let the Martin go across PPNL land to get to school. Also, neighbors also know that PPNL placed a power pole in the center of the Martin Drive, violating his right-of-way to that drive. Residents believe that they have been treated badly by PPNL and are concerned they will have the same problems with commercial developers, including being forced to be put in new driveways to their homes. Some property owners believe their businesses are non-conforming and will be cited if the land is not rezoned. Residents where, and I say light commercial, it should be light industrial zoning as proposed, believe they will benefit from the rezoning because their property values will increase. Some other observations: the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code and Elanco Comprehensive Plan say zoning priority is to protect agricultural land. The only documents I've seen describe relative to this is proposed rezoning is the September one-page zoning analysis, and then the Lancaster newspaper listed the affected properties. There's not been any discussion or documentation I'm aware of on the loss of agricultural land or alternative locations for the commercial development. There is not a requirement, this has been brought up a couple times, there is not a requirement in the municipality's planning code or Elanco plan for a certain number of commercial acres. The Brecknock Township Comprehensive Plan of 2008 says 20 acres of additional commercial industrial land is required by 2030. Brecknock.
Tell me that again.
Yeah, the Brecknock Comprehensive Plan of 2008 says 20 acres of additional commercial industrial land is required by 2030. The Brecknock zoning ordinance and zoning map were amended, as I understand, in December of 2011 to rezone approximately 60 acres of land owned by PPNL to commercial. The amended zoning map did not affect the commercial land identified in the 2008 official and zoning maps. If the demand for commercial development has changed since 2008, then I would recommend a comprehensive plan and the official map should be updated to reflect that additional demand. A person or business who own land can petition the supervisor to change the zoning ordinance and the zoning map. And that's really just the zoning map. Section 10 of the petition requests specific statements on the reasons for the rezoning. Supervisor, Planning Commission, Zoning Board control review of the petition to assure rezoning of land complies with the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan. If a single lot or many lots are rezoned to commercial, supervisors have lost control of how the land is going to be developed. As long as the property owner, again, meets the conditions of the zoning ordinance and the land development plan, supervisors do not deny the permit. The reason given for the proposed zoning was to prevent any property owner from filing a curative amendment to the zoning ordinance. The Brecknock ordinance does allow for commercial zoning, so filing for a curative amendment has no validity. Or as I know, you might have a different view of that. But the curative amendment challenges the ordinance, not the individual zoning for that property. High voltage power lines cross parcels 1 and 2. Depending on the power transmitted, there is a 40 to 80 yard distance on each side of the center line where no construction is permitted. This prevents building a large portion of parcels number 1 and 2. The 1984 County Survey of Historic Buildings identified 3 structures on the lots to be rezoned. The survey documents are in file with the state. Removal or construction around these structures required consultation with the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission. The PHMC review has stopped commercial development in some other Lancaster municipalities. So they developed theoretically by that land as commercial, and it would not be able to develop it. There's not been any discussion or documentation on the impact of the development on the health and welfare of the residents, including new jobs, increased revenue, available housing, police protection, water quality, water capacity, traffic congestion, and sewer capacity. And finally, as I think you're aware, residents of Brecknock Township seldom engage in public debate, but they do express themselves in private. Before continuing this proposed rezoning, all township residents should receive relevant information so they know the reasons for the rezoning, the potential impact in the community, and give them the opportunity for informed participation in the zoning process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to make, go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, I guess, moving forward, it would be really nice to hear a clear definition in the middle of the line of vote, what that rezoning really means, to a layperson like myself, when we rezoned to those highway commercial, or light industrial, what does that really mean? And perhaps technical examples of what might be placed on that kind of zoning. I've heard two different issues, it would be nice to know what exactly that acreage is. Are we talking about both sides of 625? Is this really locations where they're just normal homes, and then there's acreage between a home and another home? It could then be light industrial or whatever you want to call it, a commercial highway, highway commercial. Similar facts and figures about that information. Who exactly owns some of those parcels? And again, calling skeptical and having sat for many years with you, you know that everybody's above board. I always worry about personal gain of individuals or small groups of people when it comes to some different roads in a particular township. So it would be interesting to me, who owns some of these parcels. I also wonder how far back the frontage would go, if it is both sides or one side of 625, how far from the road side can it go back? Again, having sat for years of meetings, especially with the sewer commission, my understanding is we don't have any EUs. We just went through several months worth of meetings about the Hawk Valley development and how do you develop. I understand that. However, there were only so many EUs available. Where are we going to get the EUs and some other resources that might be needed or whatever would come on this land? Again, I don't know what to do on that. I am curious when Mike mentioned about talking to Brecknock Planning. Did you mean Brecknock Planning here or Brecknock Berks County?
No, I was referring to our planning commission again,
Okay.
yes.
Appreciate that. And I guess finally, what research has gone into saying that this may or may not be a good idea? Have we contacted realtors? Have we contacted industrial realtors? Why is this movement or potential movement? So those are just some concerns and questions that I would like to hear answered at some point in time. And I would like to think maybe some other residents would like to hear some of the answers too. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to comment?
And I would hope that my comments are all in the minutes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many people here at this meeting tonight are property owners of the proposed rezoning? Is there anybody here? Okay, there's one person. How many people are property owners within that proposed area? Do you know that, sir?
How many? There's approximately, what, 20 or 25? What was on the list? See,
see that.
Now, my question is, 1 out of 20 are here. There's not that much concern from the property owners, so why is there a debate?
26 property owners.
I don't think there's that much debate if they're not here.
They did express concern.
Who did they express concern? They should be here expressing their concern. You are not an entity of this
I'm a resident.
board.
I'm a resident.
If you are a resident, then are you their spokesman?
Nope.
they should be here expressing their concern. If I was a property owner and I had a concern, I'd be here talking to these three gentlemen here.
I think the property owners, what they said to me is they don't come to meetings, they don't express themselves in public, they express themselves in private.
That they don't have a concern.
Well, Mr. Martin, when you had your planning commission meeting, the room was full. How many people do you think were there that night that represent landowners? And how many, what was the
And they
opinion of
did
the...
express their concern, that's true. And we addressed those concerns,
Yeah.
so they must be satisfied. They're
Well,
not
clearly, the
doing that.
majority that night were in favor of it.
Pardon me?
Clearly, the mass majority that night were in favor of the rezoning.
Correct. So what I'm getting at is, I think their concerns were addressed, and they seem to be satisfied because they're not here tonight. So what I'm saying is, what is the debate? I don't understand what the debate is. That's my question.
I'll be honest, for me, it's not a debate. I am a taxpayer, I'm a citizen, I'm a resident, I would just like to know what's happening. That's the essence of my comments.
Okay,
It's not a debate.
I'm just asking, why is there a debate on questions if the property owners aren't here for their own?
Because I am still a resident of this township, and I deserve an answer from my supervisors and other officials. For me, that's where it is. I don't know about anybody else, but for me,
And these changes would affect other people in there, not property owners. That is right up north of there.
Okay.
And
Okay,
the
well,
road that I
that's-
go along,
Okay, now,
it's not a major
that's a
highway.
viable point now.
And we get truck traffic over it.
Okay,
except for
I understand that.
things like that. That's-
Okay, I do understand that. Okay.
Well, back to some of your questions, Cindy, there's a map there, it's very clearly delineated exactly what is being proposed, you can see that. Now, also, I know...
This is the area right here, in this purple or pink, whatever you want to call it, that is being considered to be rezoned. As you notice, it's 190 acres. It's larger than Bowmansville itself.
well, that's a third figure, that's 120, 180, and 190. So again, my comment is just I would like a definitive answer.
Now, there was some comments brought up regarding our comprehensive plan, and our comprehensive plan says that the population growth in Brecknock Township between 2010 and 2020 will increase 12%, and in between 2020 and 2030 will increase another 10%, which is larger than any of the other townships in our regional area, which includes the Northern Lancaster County School District. When you take them percentages of population increase, and again, my family is mathematicians and accountants, and to say, one thing about statistics are they're not statistics. You can use numbers for a lot of things. Tonight we heard the number about our comprehensive plan is only calling for 20 acres of additional commercial property. But if you take that same chart that was referenced to, it says the projected industrial commercial growth should be 387 additional employees, workers, 387. Then they come up with this scenario that if you put 22 employees per acre, and you take them 387 employees that we're supposed to provide for future growth, it comes to 20 acres. Now, is that a realistically number to say 22 employees per acre? Pepperidge Farm don't even have that type of density. So here we have a comprehensive plan that is allocating 20 acres of additional commercial property for 387 employees. When I look at the highway commercial district, Souter's Garage, Earl Gaiman's muffler shop, it's like, so what kind of density should we think about when you do a highway commercial? Do you buy a piece of property and put a building on it, put a rain garden, a retention basin, parking for all your handicap and everything else? Souter's Garage has 2.5 acres. According to this chart, they should be employing 55 employees. You know that don't make sense. That's where you're coming up with your 20 acres of required commercial property. It's bogus. They have 5 employees on 2.5 acres. They utilize 2 employees per acre. You go to Earl Gaiman's muffler shop. He's got 3 acres with 3 employees. It seems like in the highway commercial district in which we're trying to target or allow for growth, It's more like 2 or 1 employee per acre. If we are supposed to provide 387 jobs in Brecknock Township at just 2 employees per acre, which is the model that's out of garages, that's 190 acres. We're right on track. And this came from the Planning Commission. We weren't even involved in this yet. When I look at this and compare it to our comprehensive plan, they're right on track.
The comprehensive plan should be updated then if those numbers are wrong.
They've been wrong, but we haven't updated. It costs money to update. Generally, you let the county initiate that, and then you spend the money to update it, and I know, but you can't just sit back in our comprehensive plan, drive it wrong. No, I'm telling you what the facts are. And again, this is based upon the recommendation from our planning commission. They've had the input from probably 80% of the residents that own these properties, and this is what they presented us.
Wait a minute, you say we have input from 80% of?
Possibly.
How many of the people that were represented at your meeting actually owned properties?
Majority of them. The room was full.
How many properties are there? There's 26.
There might have been,
I can't answer that because I didn't answer.
there might have been
I didn't
20
answer that
properties
question. I don't know
represented.
all the residents within the Brecknock Township. Like this gentleman here, I have no idea where he lives other than what he just told me. I was just making a statement that you're debating something where there isn't a lot of residents who own property there. Now, I'm not saying that the fee would not be impacted.
Well, the thing of the matter is, people can sit in a meeting, and there are some people that will speak up in a meeting. Because a lot of people won't speak up in a meeting. They're either shy or regress or whatever. They may have mixed feelings about what you're doing that you'll never find out. How will you know that the majority of the people that are impacted by this are actually in favor of it?
Have you talked to any of these?
No,
I have.
And I can imagine that you have. Ben Weber, I know you probably talked to. He has 20 acres.
Yeah.
Gentleman that
Yeah.
was here.
Yeah, he's in favor of it. He's a businessman, yes. Yes.
He's a landowner.
He's a landowner, yes.
Yeah. I got his input. Well, just back to this, we've had, presented that, our comprehensive only calls for 20 acres, and you said we're calling for 190. We are. So, again.
Don't you think that's a little much?
No, I don't. I honestly don't.
Arthur, what about you?
Well, there's a lot of times some limits on the setbacks. That hasn't even been gotten into yet.
I mean, we're looking at, if you look on that map, every one of those little squares, squiggles, is a farm mostly.
But the setback.
Many of them are
No.
farms. Many of them are homes, but many of them are farms.
I do not think there is one farm on there that is self-sustaining, that makes its entirely living on the farm. I do not believe there's one.
Marlo's he has dairy.
Where's he at? Is he on there? He's not on there. Where? Where's Marvin Weaver on a dairy
Marlo's
on there?
Zimmerman, he's right in front of the log home.
In front of the log home? There's no dairy in front of the log home. What log home?
The log home that's on the state survey of historic properties.
Where's a log home?
Oh, he's talking Brubaker.
Right above Trojan.
Dave, morning. He's talking Dave
That's
Horning.
not a self-sustained dairy.
Well,
He's right next to that log home.
That's not a
Marlo's
self-sustained
Zimmerman.
dairy.
Well, he thinks he is.
Now let me back up one thing. First of all, understand, in the highway commercial, agriculture is a permitted use, entirely permitted. They will never be required to change their use.
No, they won't.
It is a permitted use. It maintains a permitted use.
Right.
You're not changing what they're permitted to do on their property.
But what we're changing is what can happen on the next property to them.
Right.
Well,
If I may ask,
yeah.
how many acres was the PP&L property?
About maybe 80.
60, 80,
I thought it was around 40.
Well, there's a number of tracks.
I think it's about halfway in between.
Because, correct me if
60,
I'm
I
wrong,
think it was.
that would be an unmanned substation, so we gain no employees off of that.
Correct, and no tax benefit.
Well, I know. That's.
They have donation in kind or anything at all?
Pardon me?
They have a donation in kind?
No,
Nothing at all.
No,
Yeah, I can-
we're not required to do anything.
We wish. They'll put a pole in another driveway.
Let me add another element to that, and that is I talked with a gentleman today who at one time did land development for Lowe's. And he said, just because it's commercial does not mean a commercial business pays taxes. He said Lowe's gets state grants for the development, excludes them from school taxes forever, and defers property taxes for 10 years. And he said, well, Lowe's building business, they have never paid property taxes because they
Well, I'm
get
not-
state grants for the construction.
We-
Now, that's just
we're
an
not
aside.
expecting all
It
the-
doesn't mean that all the development, commercial development is not going to be revenue generating, but PPL is not generating revenue. Farmland is generating revenue, it's taxable. We don't know what's going to happen in the future unless we do a little groundwork and anticipate what kind of development is going to go in there.
Well, I know as a fact that when John Zimmerman rezoned to put land or rain flow out there in more prime ag than we're talking about, he looked back here and he wanted to develop back there and there was nothing available. So he put down here in prime ag the rain flow because we have not provided something for him that he could have done. He would have.
You can own that land and then petition to rezone, right?
That's what he did. He bought a
Yeah.
farm and he petitioned and
So anyone can buy that farmland there and petition to have a rezone.
that's correct.
I don't think he petitioned to rezone the property. He sought, I don't know if it was a special exception. I think it was a special
He had to
exception.
expand the
Non-conforming use?
No, he expanded the light industry. They went
When it was in on the other road, it was non-conforming.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I know he had to go before the zoning hearing board for some relief.
Yeah, no, this is when he
That was
bought
the
the
old
farm.
property.
That was the old property. Okay.
Yeah, and then he rezoned farmland.
Okay.
Now, I talked to a guy who has farmed most of this crop farming, and he said the best land was right where PP&L put in their substation. The rest of this is, a lot of it's too wet to even utilize.
We don't know that until we.
I guess the fear is that some kind of business or company will come in and build something. And they'll be, oh my God, we don't want that there. People will come in and hear saying.
Well, they'd have to sell it, it'd have to be sold, and that's true everywhere. I mean, you have the naysayers going out there and saying, hey, Liz, you got an adult book club here, an adult peep show and stuff like that. Well, they're not, yeah, that's the threat everywhere. You know, you're gonna throw out the most, and that's what I think you shared a little bit with these people, showing the most extreme possibilities. A lot, I would say 60% of these aren't even gonna change in 10 years because they just,
You know, as soon as you rezone that commercial, the supervisors have lost control. And if it's ag land and somebody buys 20 acres of ag land and say, I want to rezone that commercial, they can petition you to rezone it, and you have to go through the planning commission, the supervisors, the zoning hearing board, and you have control of what they can do. As soon as it's zoned commercial, you lost control.
if we don't rezone it, we lost control.
How?
Through, out here, this guy can decide that because we're not allowing enough highway commercial that he needs, he wants 8 acres, we only have a 2-acre one, he'll petition the court and cure an amendment, and he'll get a lawsuit that he'll have this use out there.
Curative amendment that Bill nodded his head only addresses the validity of the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance does have terms for commercial zoning. So if I have 5 mile land anywhere, ag land, and I say I want a curative amendment because I want that commercial zone, there is in the ordinance conditions for commercial zoning. So it's not a valid argument. Now, I can petition and say I want to petition the supervisors to have that rezone commercial. The supervisor said, that's ag land. If you want to do commercial, then you go buy a piece of land that is commercial already, or buy a piece of land that's adjacent to commercial, and petition this on that piece of land, because then it fits into our urban growth area or whatever we want to do.
We don't have an urban growth area. Now, so you're trying to tell me that if our ag, or our residential is completely built up, someone out here cannot buy a farm and propose a different type of housing style that we currently don't provide, and that he could, through a pure amendment, he can cure our amendment. and
I
he
think
can
there's
get
some
sued.
kind of an ag overlay on most of our township.
overlay.
capacity.
Not over the overlay.
They tried that, but
I'm pretty sure there is.
There's no overlay. The other question had been posed earlier, one of the questions, is what does it mean when something is rezoned? And just for the audience's sake, the proposal is to rezone to highway commercial land and then to light industrial. If it's rezoned, then that land is subject to the uses that are set forth in those zoning districts in the zoning ordinance. Those uses are permitted uses, there's special exceptions, and some small, few cases, conditional uses. Conditional uses are heard before the Board of Supervisors, special exception by the zoning hearing board. So whatever those districts, those two districts have, those properties that are rezoned are eligible for those potential uses.
So highway, commercial, and light industrial are not synonymous?
No.
Are they very divergent?
There are different uses. I can't tell you, without looking at the ordinance, what uses there are. They try to address different kinds of uses. Industrial typically have more heavy industry with more environmental impact, noise, odor, that kind of thing, as opposed to commercial, highway commercial. Less, heavy industry in that district.
You didn't answer the question, Bill.
What's that?
If we are completely built out with highway commercial, and you use this example as a gas station. Gas station is permitted in highway commercial, and we do not have any place available for a gas station in our township. Unless someone file a Puritan amendment, and put the gas station wherever they want because we have not provided.
Well, curative amendment, they have to establish that what land we have, regarding commercial does not meet the current demand.
Correct.
They have to come forward and show that there is a need for it. If they're going to challenge the validity of the ordinance in court, so they'd have to come in with evidence that, what our land is and there is demand for use like that. So,
What do we currently have for highway commercial?
What do we currently, you mean what available land we have?
Right.
Very little. It's
No,
already built out.
but what is available?
I think there's one small strip where Mrs. Horst.
That's
it.
in the whole township, that's all.
That's it. And so if someone wants 5 acres, and I think that's an acre and a half.
Doesn't mean that you can't buy something that's already commercial. If I want to buy Renninger's golf cart and offer them a nice price, then I can put a gas.
That's already
there.
developed. That's already developed.
undeveloped land,
Yeah, if I
like
can
too.
buy it, put in another commercial activity. That land's available. Ag land is not available, it's industrial. I mean, it's used.
I have
It's
two
producing
comments
income.
on it.
So to say that ag land is idle is not taxing, non-yielding is not correct.
This board has never said that ag land is non-productive and non-idle and non-taxpaying. They certainly are their share. Yes, Arthur.
Just two things at this point. First off, when we needed some industrial type land, I remember people coming to me and, boy, look, they're virtually saying there's no, you don't give people more jobs, just take on the residents. But got down to the point where the land across from me, look how many people they employ. Did you know that people who not protested, but voiced their opinions against Lippert and Penske to put in that facility didn't live close to the area? Us that lived there didn't say anything. We accepted it. Look at all the work it provided for our township by letting something come in. And I hear the beepers at night when I lay in bed. I hear their telephone. It's loud outside. But it has to go somewhere. We can't continue taking on the residents and be a bedroom community and not get into some commercial and industrial ventures. The tax base will lose. The other thing is, I had one today yet. I've had people who lived in this area. They were satisfied with it. they said, hey, they're fine with it. And not just one person. I had several people come to me. I know that two of them, I'm sure they weren't at the planning commission meeting, but they're satisfied with it. They live there. It's their land, and they're satisfied with it. So that's the only thing I have to say at this
Well,
point.
this is a recommendation from a planning commission. We have 4 good people in that committee. I really appreciate and think they've done an excellent job of evaluating the needs of this community. They've had input from some of the residents that live there. And our next step is to get comments from the Lancaster County Planning Commission. And so I'm ready to, look, take this. I do have a comment. Right now, there's 2 properties that PP&L own that are zoned agriculture, because it doesn't matter to PP&L what it is. If you're concerned about the amount of highway commercial, why don't we take all PP&L's property and turn it back to ag? You say that's stupid. Well, it is, but then what? Then maybe we should take all PP&L's property and make it highway commercial, because that's, well, is PP&L highway commercial? Where's they?
No, we can't do that.
We could, yeah.
No.
Why?
No. We went through this in Township, Levi, we went through this. These people are turning this thing all the way back. That land goes over to Boulder Hill. Can you imagine?
No, that's not PP&L. They swapped this. Here's the map. They swapped, I'm talking about these 2 little, right there, that's them 2. Because see, they swapped with Lawrence Martin.
Yeah.
Lawrence gave them that, he gave them this. That is Lawrence Martin's farm right now.
Okay.
So-
If they made the swap,
Yeah.
I can see that.
See,
but the
right now,
current-
PP&L is utilizing this whole area
Yep.
here.
Because we rezoned that part back here just so that the commercial use wouldn't come out on Boulder Hill.
Correct. I think that PP&L's property should all be one zoning. It's either gonna be we all make it highway commercial or we make it ag. I would suggest we just make it all highway commercial, because that's their property. They had to swap, they had to get that property from Lawrence Martin so they could have enough green space and to meet their thing. They gave this down here to Lawrence Martin, so that's gonna stay in ag. And then the other comment I would make, right over here, Nathan Brubaker has a truss shop. He builds trusses. Now, again, that was permitted as a variance in the ag community.
I was gonna say, like, what's up with that back road? You're on a back road there, Wayne. I understand about the highway use and all that, and I'm all for, don't get me wrong, I'm not against commercial use. I'm a businessman. But why are we putting on panoramic?
Because we're trying to take properties that currently are just under a variance or as grandfathered in and make them legit. If their use is what's currently permitted in highway commercial, then let's make them, like Salvage Garage.
Well, that's not good planning. You're moving stuff into a back road. If you
They're already-
out on the main highway,
No,
and
they're-
then they can move out there. Just like
They're already there.
I know they're already there. It's down the road from my house. I know where they're at.
We're simply making them compliance.
And I'd like to make
You're not making a good decision as far as like where the highway is versus where that building is.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was King's Potato Chips.
I know that, yes.
And if you go back into the meetings, that facility probably should have never went there. That's why this board up here, when they make decisions, it affects the township, certain decisions forever. Now you have a structure there, what's it gonna be used for? The reason it was accepted as King's Potato Chips, it was sitting on industrial land. And the night came when the supervisors sat up here and said, well, that doesn't really fit in industrial. And one of the supervisors said, well, they make potato chips out of potatoes. It is industrial. So that's why they granted it for King's Potato Chips to move in there, just because they use potatoes to make potato chips. Now you got a structure that don't belong there. What are you gonna do to the people that own the structure? How would you like to buy something and say there's no use for it? You know, that's where we're at sitting here now.
I'm still saying you can make a better decision and keep the commercial land out on the main highway instead of
Right.
putting it on a back road.
Yeah.
Because my house is just north of that road, and I got tractor trailer trucks
Where do
driving by
you,
my
where do
house.
you live? Which,
Up by the greenhouse. I mean, it's.
over by S&J's greenhouse?
Yeah, Weathersville Road, yes. I got tractor trailer trucks driving by my house. People think you live on a back road, or you don't. It's a main
They cut
highway.
the
It would
corner,
be
goes
so
to
much
22.
worse, because that's, you think trucks go up 625 and go out 568 to 222? No, they go on Bowmansville Road. And when this gets
Well,
developed
this-
even more, you think my house is gonna get shook apart by 18-wheelers going there back and forth every day?
You need more.
More
discipline in the
long-term,
plan.
like, how does this affect the whole area, not just the landowners that the property sits on?
They're currently, we're trying to
There's
bring.
no ordinances whatsoever, I'm sorry, there's no ordinances whatsoever as far as traffic goes on those roads.
Well, most of the traffic leaving, a lot of leaving that trust place now is not going Bowmansville Road.
I see trucks go by my house every day of the week.
Well, I do too, so they're,
22.
Exactly, yeah.
They go down Miles View Road. That's why I always go to Reading.
they come past my place. They come get them in school.
They go past Miles View Road, yeah, that's where they go.
I do not see any of this majorly increasing traffic, because basically just allowing these people to be compliant. I don't see a lot of.
I think so. I'm not getting what you're saying,
This has
We have that,
gone,
we have that documented.
you don't.
As Mike looked at it.
there's some things you can't, and just like the comprehensive plan, it's just a target for it. Back to what I'm trying to say is that this property that Nathan Brubaker has a big dog leg up there. I'd make a suggestion that we would put the highway commercial approximately 7 foot off boulders, 700 foot off Bowmansville Road, and cut that off here.
I see it, yeah.
So,
This property right here,
yes,
that's the big dog.
back further, yeah, probably just behind the Chucker House. So that,
That's a large piece of property.
yeah, and then you're reducing acreage.
You still haven't documented, defined a reason for the rezoning. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, the health and welfare of the population, the water supply, quality of
I'm
life.
saying, it's not gonna change, there's not much gonna change, they're kind of there now.
It has to change.
We
You
can't-
have businesses moving into that commercial area, you have 180 acres of commercial, and you can develop all that with commercial activities. It's what I'm saying.
They're like, what's the average, any idea what the average tract is on, is that 6 acres, 10 acres, the average tract?
In that area?
Yeah.
It was about 5 or 6.
5 or 6 acre tract.
It's
not gonna get a big tract.
26 tracts and you have 190.
So divide that by
What does that come? Plus we reduced,
6 acres.
the average size is about 5 acres, so you're not gonna see a factory go in there with 800 trucks coming and going. They can't even turn around in 5 acres.
Well, they'll buy the lots and consolidate.
But, you know, you just can't,
Yeah, it's possible.
yeah, but you can't just be described by the worst extreme possibilities. So,
If I may respond to
About 8 acres.
Mr. concern, is, you have to do a traffic, road evaluation before you can, prevent trucks from going anywhere. It will not qualify to reduce the weight limit because of the way the road's constructed. It's constructed, and you cannot tell people which road to travel.
That's, I mean, I know truck drivers get fined all the time because they have a truck on the road they're
Yeah.
could go on, but they're not allowed to because there's a blockage.
Yeah, so where is it? Where is it? On Bowmansville Road?
That's what I'm saying, like,
No, but where's the blockage on Bowmansville Road?
no, there's a restriction on just, you're not allowed to go there except for local deliveries.
Well, yeah, but if you do a traffic study, but that is not like a Dolphin Street or anything like that. That's a through road.
okay, well, okay. I want to move forward and let Lancaster County Planning Commission,
There is another piece of property where it's 20 acres for light industrial regular or something.
that's on the map. That's on the map, that's already there. That's included.
We have to
So-
talk about it. Nobody mentioned it.
What was there mentioned?
Well, it's part of the package.
You know?
It's part of the package. We also are rezoning 20 acres of light industrial
goes across 625 where we
Right.
currently have.
Where there already is some, yes.
We already have a
Good
business
place for
there.
it, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So if we add those two properties into, and the PP&L's totally area will be as highway commercial, and we limit Nathan Brubaker's, what did I say, 750?
You said 700, or do you want it 750?
Whatever, what do
You
you
said
recommend
700.
based upon the
I
Chuckers?
think I had said to include the Shucker Barn and the grading, it was about 750.
750 setback off of Bowmansville Road.
He's by far the largest piece,
Yeah.
57 acres.
And then we'll get the professional planners from Lancaster County Plan Commission, have their comments. It'll be an open meeting, the properties will be notified, and then we'll take that input. I'm more interested in hearing the property owners than I am of what's going on tonight. So can I turn it into motion that with those changes, all PP&L's property will be encompassed in the highway commercial, and the setback off of Bowmansville Road for the Brubaker property will be 750 feet following the road. And we would then,
Is that a motion?
I'm working on the motion, yeah, then we would forward it to the Lancaster County Planning Commission for their comments. And then we would, and maybe this time also then, we would come back to them, and then on April 4th, we would have April 4th. That'd be a special meeting. Oh, the 11th,
I
okay.
gave you the wrong date.
Then on April 11th, we would have an open public meeting here and to share the comments on the Lancaster County Planning Commission, and then also all the residents would be invited that have properties here to come out and voice their opinions. That's a motion.
You also need to send it to the Township Planning Commission,
Okay.
I'll second the
primarily
motion.
because you've made a change to this.
Yeah. You got that?
Yep.
Okay, the motion was made and second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, we have a Sun Valley Campground Land Development Extension.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept that. That was under Mike's report, right?
Okay, there's a motion to accept the extension request for Sun Valley Campground, and what is the length of this extension request? Another year?
That was.
May
yeah.
9th. To May
He
9th,
made
yeah.
a
Yeah.
couple
Okay.
more requests, yes.
Okay, a motion was made. I'll second that, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Absolutely.
Okay, we move to new business. We have approved the real estate tax.
I make a motion we approve this real estate tax duplicate in Lancaster County.
I second it.
Okay, we had a motion to approve the real estate tax in Lancaster County, and it was second. Those in favor say aye.
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 I make a motion we approve the street light duplicate.
I second it.
Okay, we had a motion to approve the street light duplicate, and it was second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, we have some volunteer applications in our packet from various people now. They didn't submit it, some had comments. The board does not have to take action, but we will entertain any action now at this point if we so desire.
This Greg Evans and Mary Evans, are they related?
They're a husband and wife team, and I think that if you get one, you get both. I do not think what their intentions are for just one of them to serve, so,
We need people on the park and rec, don't we?
yes.
I'd make a motion if they're willing to serve, that we should accept their application.
I second it.
Okay, the motion was made in second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, do we want to move on?
Well, we have another application.
Do you want to propose action on it?
I make a motion we approve the application of Garth Wise for the planning commission.
Is there a second?
It's up to you.
It is up to me.
It's definitely up to you.
Okay. Fine.
You?
Well, let me tell you how I feel. Abraham Lincoln said you don't change horses in the middle of a stream. When we asked the planning commission to review this subdivision or include zoning, you voiced your objection to it. The Garth has voiced his objection to it.
No, I didn't.
No,
Yes,
you
you
didn't
did.
really.
It was a parent objection.
So the
So the
planning
planning
commission
commission unanimous recommendation to propose rezoning, and then you proposed to appoint Garth to the planning commission.
Right.
I'm not ready to change a horse or add another team member in the middle of this process, so
How many members are on there?
I will not second the motion, and the motion will die because of lack of second. Okay?
That's
Okay.
really cheap.
We're going to move on to zoning violations. You have some zoning violations in your book from our zoning officer. He sent them to you. He sent out some letters. Apparently initially there was no compliance, and then you've seen some progress, and you're asking the board to grant some more time. And I would be in favor of supporting that extension of time. And that was to extend the time to, was it April? March 31st. And I like that. I mean, over the winter, the days are short. Maybe he couldn't get around it as quick, and maybe as spring comes, he'll be able to, we're talking about a property that has a lot of junk or excess stuff stored on it, and he's been asked to clean it up, and he's in the process of doing it. So I make the motion that we grant him the extension as our zoning officer has requested. And is there a second to that?
I second it.
Okay, the motion was seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 I oppose. I
Okay.
think he's had plenty of time. He said, what is it, 3 notices? 3 notices?
Well, one written notice and 2 legal.
Now,
But
did he accept the letters that were sent to him?
Initially he did. The registered letters did not, but he was also sent regular mail, which apparently he knew what was in it because he called me.
And what's the reason he wants time? He's had a lot of time.
He started the process, and he's just asking for more time. Rather than prosecute, that if he's going to do it without prosecution by the end of March, I think we should grant that.
The board already has granted him the extension, so. I have one message from your state representative, Mark Gillen. He asked me to forward to you that he is opposed to any tax on townships that are using state police in lieu of their local police. He's, in his own words, every time you fill up your tank at the pump, you are paying for your police, local police. I mean, you're paying for the state police. And if they would use the money for what it's intended for, instead of mass transit in Philly and Pittsburgh, there would be plenty for our state police to cover our areas. He's strictly opposed to that. He will oppose any tax. And he also said that local police protection is a choice that people make. He wanted me to pass on to you that he will oppose any tax, whether it's $25 or whatever, for townships that utilize state police coverage an effort to, I don't know, take our tax money. Well, he says the problem is not revenue, it's spending. So, I said I would pass it on to you. You got it from him. I had a meeting with him, and he wanted me to pass that on, so
I would like to make a comment on that.
please.
Until the day comes when they stop giving our money to the turnpike, we're not getting our fair share. We haven't all these years. The liquid fuels money, the biggest cut goes to the state. The next cut goes to the turnpike. The little bitty cut comes to the township. We got more miles of road in this township than the turnpike does. Years ago, when I questioned it with the senator, he said, well, if it wouldn't be for the turnpike, they'd be using the roads through your township. I don't think so. They wouldn't be taking Lashtown Road and the tractor and trailer trucks, come on. But, the turnpike takes in close to $2 million a day, and they have to take our liquid fuel money. And then they take that money, and then they get the support from the state police, which we already paid for. So we're not getting a fair share out of the whole thing at all these years. But that's just my opinion.
I thought we should get impact fees from the turnpike traffic, but
Well,
we did find out that the turnpike pays PennDOT. What did we find out, like $500 million a year?
Yeah.
And the idea was that the turnpike would get it back by putting a toll on Route 81, which then never happened, but they still make the toll. Not only does the turnpike cover their own traffic and tolls, they also give that much to PennDOT.
another thing that some of these people in this audience don't realize is, it wasn't too many years ago when East Cocalico wanted to turn Stonehill Road into a toll road.
Really?
But there was conversation about that. Either a toll road or close it completely. And told them, can't close that road. You know how much traffic uses that thing?
Yeah.
But there was talk amongst them. I know the roadmaster over there real well. I know the road crew, and they talked about shutting it down. Do you know what mess they would have had up at Weaver's Market if they closed Stonehill Road with all them tractor trailer trucks? You gotta be careful what decision you make. It'll affect your township forever.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second it? Aye.
Aye.
Enjoy your rest of your